Okay, we are going to continue to pick up from Daf Chaf Amud Beis. The Mishnah on the bottom of the Amud today is Daf Chaf Aleph. But we're going to start from Chaf Amud Beis, the Mishnah. In the Mishnayos back in those days, all the houses were surrounded one large courtyard. In Eretz Yisrael, it's very common till today. Even in developments in Muncie, we have that there's a bunch of houses with a courtyard in the front. So we're going to discuss what about a person setting up commercial stuff, commercial shops, etc., in the courtyard, and it's going to disturb all the other residents. So let's see the Mishnah inside. Person decided to set up a nice store in the courtyard in front of everybody. The halach is yachol limches biyadai. The rest of the neighbors can complain and block him by saying, Eini yachol lishon, I cannot sleep. Mikol hanichnasin and mikol hayotzim, because of the noise of the people that are coming in and out. And we're going to see in a moment that it's not specifically lav dafka doesn't mean really the noise. It could be means that it's really impeding the traffic as so many people are coming into the store. Aval aisim kalim, a person can do in his own house, have a little shop, and yotzim meicher b'techashuk, and go to the marketplace and sell it over there. And to tell him, I can't see because of your noises. You're using hammers in there. Or with the mill. And the Gemara is going to explain what is a mean the tinaikas. We'll see that. So today we're going to be discussing very geshmak sugya about classrooms, etc. Now, however, some want to learn, it's a machlokes bichlal rishonim, how to understand what is the noise of going in and out, right? Why is it different, the noise of a hammer opposed to the noise of going in and out? They're both noise. What's the difference in the beginning of the Reish and the beginning of the Sefer? So some want to say that the noise in my house, I'm a resident. I have a right to make noises in my house. Mashenkin, the noises that are people coming in and out, that's a noise from other people. They're not residents, like we find parkings for residents only, right? That type of concept. You're not a resident, you don't have any privileges. That's one mahalach. Other Rishonim explain, no, it doesn't mean noise, specifically the word noise. Rather it means as a reference that you're inconveniencing everybody else by crowding up the area. Now we're going to jump right into the Gemara. For the Gemara, Maishna Reisha, Umaishna Seifa. Why in the beginning we're telling me that you're not allowed to, I could protest people coming into the courtyard, and the Seifa, you have no right to protest people that are doing stuff that also make noise. So Abaye tries to say, Abaye says a chiddush, that Seifa, the last case we're talking about where a person has a manufacturer in his yard, in his house, is we're talking about the sa'an lechatzer achares. He's talking about the presence of customers in another courtyard. That one, it's a very big chiddush, doesn't really stem with our Mishnah, that's why Rav is going to have a problem with this. But he's going to say one cannot block the entry into a neighboring courtyard. He only has his chus in his own courtyard, but Amalei Ravi Hachi, Rav is very bothered this, and Abaye says, I don't understand. Listen, just say clearly, Chatzer Acheres Mutter. You're not being clear, just say very explicitly. Then a different chutz is not a problem. Elam Rava says, Seifa Asan, we're on top of Chaf Aleph Amud Aleph. Seifa Asan, Litinaikais, Shell, Base, Rabban. You know what we're talking about? We're talking about someone who's trying to prevent Yidden, little children, who are coming from the whole neighbor to come learn. You have opened up a cheder in the yard. Umitakanas Yeshua ben Gamla ve'elach, which we're going to talk about this takana, that every single town needed to have a teacher. So therefore, after this takana, the courtyard, all the residents cannot complain that there's all the Talmidim are in there. Now the question becomes is, okay, we understand that you should have every city and town and village should have a teacher, but we don't understand is, why in the world do you need to do it in our yard? Go to the shul, build schools. So the answer is, the Rishonim explain, is that if a person would have to schlep too much, the person's not going to be interested in teaching others. If you have to go schlep to another all the way out to the shuls, it's much easier. I can say from my own experience, it's much easier going across the street and giving a shir than going very far to give Torah. Okay.
And at that time, rabbis didn't have cars.
Right, they didn't have cars, they had to travel. Okay, now we're going to go through this takana. The Amar of Yehuda Merav Beram. You should remember Zachar Isaiah Shletai. Remember who? Yeshua ben Gamla Shemai. His name was Yeshua ben Gamla. Why? Shemalehu. If not for him, Nishkachach Torah Yisrael. Klaiso would have forgotten the Torah. Why? Shebetchilim Mishlayav. Someone who has a father, Melam the Torah would teach him Torah. Mishayin Layav. Someone who did not have a father, Loi Haya Loi Me Torah, would not learn Torah. So my droish, what is this pasuk that says in the Torah? It says Limadatem Oisam Levnechem, right? You should teach your sons Torah. Why does it say Oisam without the vav? Their answer is Velimadatem Atem, and you yourselves should teach Torah to your children. The father himself must teach his child. Now, what happened was there wasn't a very good system for education going on. So Eskinu Shiyumayshivin Melamde Tikainais Tinaikas Birushalayim. The Chachamim were Mesakin that in Yerushalayim anyone who wants to learn Torah could go learn. My Daraish, where they come from? It says Ki Mitziyain. For Torah should go from Tzion, from Yerushalayim. Ki Mitziyain Teitze Torah Dvar Hashem Yerushalayim. However, there was a big problem. V'adayin Mishlei Yeshlei Av Ma'aloy Melamdai. Someone who had a child, his father would take him up and teach him Torah. However, Rahman al-Islam, for whatever reason, Mishain Layav, he wouldn't go up and learn Torah. Therefore, his skinushi and mashivin pelech ufelech. The chachamim were sakin and every felech. That means pelech is like a province. They explain it over here. And harba medinos. So lashon medinos. There's a lot of medinos districts in there. And what happened was, Machnisin Aisan Kivan Tezayin Uchavan Yedzayin. They should bring in whoever lacked in education at the age of 16 and 17. They brought them up to teach them. However, there was an issue with this. What happens is at the age of 16 and 17, it's called the teenage years. And you get you think you're on top of the world, you think you know everything. Your Rebbe talks to you a little too sharp, you get a little angry. What do? You say, I'm out. I'm gone, Rebbe. I don't need you anymore. So it's a big problem. So Misha Rabbi Kaisalov, Mavid Baibi Yatza, would just rebel against him and tell him have a wonderful day. However, Achaba Yeshua ben Gamla v'tikin, what did Yeshua ben Gamla do? She Mashivin Malandi Tinaikais. Every town, every village had a teacher. B'chol Medina, b'chol ve'ir. Umachnisin Aisan, what age? Keven Sheish, Keven Shava. Whether 6 or 7, Rashi explained, Taisus explains, it really depends. Keven Sheish be'bari, Keven Shava b'chachosh. I'm thinking it's more mentally, the age. 6 or 7, depends how sharp the kid is, Taisus. And we all know that the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos explains that at the age of 5, your father already should teach you. A child begins to learn Torah already. That's you get introduced to that. However, you don't begin intensive studies until the age of 6 at the earliest, or even age 7. Okay, and the reason is, the Rishonim explain why suddenly the schools in every district help, is because at the age of 6 or 7, it's very dangerous to go travel, especially in those days. Picture those days, traveling from village to village. You can't go. It was very dangerous. Therefore, Yeshua ben Gamla was masakin that Torah should not be forgotten by Klal Yisrael. Rav Shmuel bar Shilas. Rav told Rav Shmuel bar Shilas, he was a very famous teacher. Until you reach the age of 6, the kid, loy tekabel. Don't accept him as a Talmud. Mikan ve'elach, from that age and up, you could accept him. Kabil, va'aspile, you stuff him up with Torah like a shar, like an ox. Even against the will, you stuff him up, just as one stuffs up an ox in order to fatten it, like when you want to shecht it. Or then you stuff up the kid with Torah. Ve'amalei Rav Shmuel bar Shilas.
What age is this?
6.
6?
Today we're a little more lenient about that. Ki machis liyanuka.
The school systems also start at
Right, we really do start at that. We do start at 6.
They weren't successful with you, so.
Ki machis chas v'shalom. Ki machis liyanuka. When you hit a child to discipline him, Lai timchi, do not hit him, ella ba'arkas of the misana, which means a shoelace. Don't really hit him. Don't eject him, Rashi explains. Don't throw him out of the classroom. That what? You don't want to get him too powerful or punish him excessively. Why? Dekari. Manashach. If he learns, he learns. And if he does not study, let him stay with the company of his friends and eventually he'll pay attention. Right? So, okay, that's according to Rashi's Mahalach. He'll eventually pay attention. The Marsha says, kids see, I make a little trouble. I get to go play in the courtyard. What's going to happen is his fellow friend who wants to get with him is going to get kicked out. Also in the classroom. I remember when I was a young age, so we had a rule, if my close friend got kicked out, I wasn't able to get kicked out yet of the classroom. Like that, we wouldn't be able to play with each other. It's Taka Marsha that says this halacha. Okay. We're going to continue. We're telling us the Rava, right? Rava explained that we're talking about a person cannot block teaching, even though you come out of your yard in the morning and there's a whole school going on. Fraktig Mar Meisvei. Echad b'pnei chatzir, for courtyard, one of the people that live there, shebikesh lasis raife. He wants to become a doctor. Or raife uman. Sorry, it's really a mile, which you're going to see. Vegardi, a blood letter. Umelame tinaikas da'alach b'nei chatzir. Ma'akvin olav. The other residents can prevent them on the grounds that they're going to be disturbed by all the people coming in and out. So you clearly see a Malamet Tinoikis has an issue. And here we're telling us in the Mishnah, Rava explained the Mishnah, that Malamet Tinoikis is mutter. Either means literally avdikachavim or it means secular studies. But the point is, it's not Torah. Only Torah we give you a schus to use the yard. Tashma, we're going to try to bring another raya. Two people living in the chatzar. He wants to become a mayil. He wants to become either a raifa, which Rashi explains over here. We're talking about a mayil. Uman is a mekes dam. The gardi is a weaver. Again, you clearly see there Malam Tinaikis, we're going to give the same deflection, which is Hachanami Tinaikis, Daiv the Kachavim. We're now Chas V'Shalom talking about the Heilige Torah. Another right, we're going to try knocking down Rava. Tashma mi sheish labayis bechatza shutvim. One who owns a house in a chatza shutvim, it's owned jointly. The halach is areizeh lo yaskireni min erantet tehu lo le'rayfer nata moil v'lo luman a blood letter v'lo le'gardi or weaver lo le'sayfer Yehudi. Clearly says a Jewish teacher, this is the kasha v'loy l'sayfer armai.
What's a blood letter?
A blood letter in those days, in order to become, we don't really do that. But there are places, even in America, that do that. Barbers used to do that. Even today, barbers used to do that. That's where we go. That's why is it red? If you look at the history, why all barbers have red and white, the red is the dam of the blood letting. They used to do that. It was very healthy to get rid of all the blood. Okay.
Was it healthy, or they just thought it was healthy?
They thought it was healthy, or times have changed, very possibly. Even today, there are blood letters out there. There's special bugs, which are blood letters. It looks like maggots, so it's the same concept. People, when they have a lot of wounds that need to get healed. It's a little similar to that. Okay.
Why did they go to Obama?
Because he was the Uman. Used to be people did it once a month. They got to release the little blood. We're not talking about the teacher himself. We're talking about the menahel. Right? Today, every school, there's a bunch of teachers. Then there's a menahel. He gives the hadracha how to teach. He sets up the rules. So that person, he has a very extensive amount of noise. It's not just a little classroom. We're talking about a real big menahel. Even Rav is going to be maideh that it is prohibited to have it in your front yard. Amar Rava mitakanas Yeshua ben Gamla ve'ilach. From the time of the Takanas Yeshua, loy mamtinon yenuka mimasa lamasa. You're not allowed to take a child from his town to another town on a daily basis, because we're worried the roads were dangerous. Even today, we could have kidnappings, etc. Or the roads are dangerous. Rather, you're required to hire a teacher. So we're going to see if we're talking about a group of 25. Or even a single Talmud. We're going to talk about it in a moment if there's a Machlekes Rishayim. If it's a minimum or a maximum, the 25. Avol, mi bekanishta lebekanishta, mamtinon. It's not a problem within the same town. To take them from the shul to the shul is very common in those days. That's where they learned, in the shuls. V'maf sai knahara. If, however, there's a river that separates the two, avad loy mamtinon, we do not take it from one another. we're worried that he might fall into the river. However, v'ika titurim amtina, if there's a beautiful, nice bridge, it's not a problem. However, v'ika gamla, they have this in Africa, these type of countries, loim amtinon, it's a very narrow plank, and it's very dangerous, so therefore you may not take a child across it. Another halacha regarding education. V'yamar Rava, sach mikri dedarkri, the number of students that teachers have in the class is what? Asrin v'chamisha yenuki. It's 25 students. However, what is the halacha v'ika chamisha? You have 50 students. The halacha is maisvinain trei. We give you 2 teachers. What do you do if there's 40? V'ika arbain. So you can't put 2 teachers. Very expensive. Makmin and Reish Duchna. You appoint them an assistant, Misailim and Masa, and he has to give him some support, which we call it an assistant teacher. And the reason why he doesn't get full support is because he himself is learning, right? That's really up the ladder in the career. As you start with being an assistant, you learned how to teach, and like that, therefore you're not going to get full pay. We call it paid internship today. Another halacha regarding education. Oh, so just to explain the machlekes rishonim, how do you understand? Is it the maximum that the 25 you can hire, or the minimum that the city has to pay? We're taking it from communal funds. You only have to pay to hire a teacher when there's a class of 25 students. And the same thing, that's so Tysus wants to learn it, that it's the minimum. Okay. What is the halacha if there's a teacher, a class of children, he teaches at a certain pace. However, there's someone who could cover more ground. He's just a sharper Rebbe, he's a better Rebbe. What do you do then? The halacha is loy misal klinon lay. We do not remove the first teacher. Why? Because we're worried if we hire the second teacher, you know what's going to happen? Dilma asi lis rashule. He becomes lax in his work because he becomes very haughty. He thinks no one can beat me. However, Rav Dimi says, when Ardaya Amar, Kol Shekin de Garis Tvei, hire the second teacher, because there's a concept, Kina Saifrim Tarbe Chachma. You become jealous when someone comes and he knows how to learn harder. You know what you do. You chazer and you learn better. Like that, you will exert yourself much more because you become jealous. And that's what we say in yeshiva, in a high-pressured yeshiva, where everyone tries becoming the elite of the yeshiva. Kina Saifrim Tarbe Chachma. It's a good thing. Okay. V'Omar Rava. Okay, we're going to stop over here for a second on Amud Aleph, and then we're going to continue Amud Beis.